Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.5 Vishvodbhavasthana nirodha karmate hyakarturangi kritamapyapavrita yuktam na chitram tvayi karya karane sarvatmani vyatirikte cha vastutah. Vishwa, of the whole universe. Udbhava, of the creation. Sthana, of the maintenance. Nirodha, of the annihilation. Karma, these activities. Te, of you, O dear Lord. He, indeed. Akartuh, aloof. Angikritam, still accepted by the Vedic literature. Api, although. Apavritah, untouched by all these activities. Yuktam, befitting. Na, not. Chitram, wonderful. Tvayi, in you. Karya karane, the original cause of all effects. Sarva atmani, in all respects. Vyatirikte, set apart. Cha, also. Vastutah, the original substance. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: O Lord, although you are completely detached from the creation, maintenance and annihilation of this material world and are not directly affected by these activities, they are all attributed to you. We do not wonder at this, for your inconceivable energies perfectly qualify you to be the cause of all causes. You are the active principle in everything, although you are separate from everything. Thus we can realize that everything is happening because of your inconceivable energy. Please repeat. O Lord, although you are completely detached from the creation, maintenance and annihilation of this material world and are not directly affected by these activities, they are all attributed to you. We do not wonder at this, for your inconceivable energies perfectly qualify you to be the cause of all causes. You are the active principle in everything, although you are separate from everything. Thus we can realize that everything is happening because of your inconceivable energy. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this verse, the Lord's activities are very nicely explained. The nature of his activities: Vishwa Udbhava Sthana Nirodha. So the creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Karmate. So all these are the activities of the Lord himself. But at the same time, he is called Akartuhu. He does not act, and yet he is acting. We can see this in a crude way. An owner of a big company, he may not do anything personally, but because of his employees and the technology that he may employ, things may be happening, and many wonderful things may be happening. So similarly, if an ordinary human being can do that, why not the Supreme Lord? So that's the actual position of the Supreme Lord. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. Where is your notebook? Phone is a bad notebook. You must note down these verses and learn these verses now. You have to memorize these verses. You see, very nicely these two verses from the what? What is this? I think Mundaka or Katha Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, 6.7 and 8. You have notebook, Mataji? Note down at least in the phone for now, and then later on get a notebook for classes. You note down and memorize these verses. Otherwise, we will not retain. Right? I mean, in school we have notebooks. Don't you have notebooks? Notebook is upstairs. It's like, the cook who is cooking, fire is here, pot is 10 meters above. How to cook? Huh? Because, you see, these are the things which we will face. We will be questioned. And also we ourselves have to strengthen our understanding. So from these two verses, Tam Ishvaranam Paramam Maheshwaram Tam Devatanam Paramam Cha Daivatam Patim Patinam Paramam Parastat Vidama Devam Bhuvaneshamidyam Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate Natat Samaschabhyadhikascha Drishyate Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. These two verses are very nice. The Supreme Lord is the controller of all other controllers, and he is the greatest of all the diverse planetary leaders. Everyone is under his control. All entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. He is also worshipable by all demigods, and he is the supreme director of all directors. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kinds of material leaders and controllers and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. He does not possess a bodily form like that of an ordinary living entity. There is no difference between his body and his soul. He is absolute. all his senses are transcendental. Any one of his senses can perform the action of any other sense. Therefore, no one is greater than him or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. Now, if you see the Sanskrit, Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate, he has multifarious Shaktis or energies by which he is automatically doing everything. Like if we see a flower, it is nicely painted, rose, red in color, very nice fragrance. So who painted that rose? Krishna does not need to come down and sit down and paint a rose with a paintbrush. He does not need to do that. It is automatically, by his potencies, everything is painted and everything is engineered. So he is the greatest artist, he is the greatest engineer without having to do anything. Now, Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. This is very important. For any endeavor, for anything to become successful in this material world, if we have to undertake such activity, first of all, we have to have jnana. We have to have a know-how of how to do that thing. For example, any, say, business, they do market research to understand the market and to understand the problem, then to understand what can be the solution, and how to manipulate things so that the solution can be made. So, the product and the process by which these things come out needs to be known. So that is called jnana, how to do. But that's not enough. If only I know how to do, but I don't have the capacity to do. I may not have the money, I may not have the contacts. So if I don't have bala or the ability to do, the wherewithal to do that, then also it cannot be successful. If I have knowledge and I have the capacity, but if I don't do my endeavor, kriya, also the thing cannot come out. It's not enough that I know how to do it and I may have the capacity to do it. But if I actually don't do it, then it does not come out. So jnana is important, bala is important, and kriya is important. All of these three. If I do kriya without jnana, it's disastrous. Kriya without bala we can hardly do. So all these three things have to be satisfied in order for anything to be achieved. But for the Lord, swabhaviki, automatically these things are in place. Jnana, bala and kriya. And yet he is called akartuho. So this is, we have to, it is a little bit difficult to understand this, especially in our present context, because unless there is an endeavor, we don't see things happen. But we can understand in this way that a big owner of a multinational company, the other day I was seeing this video of this Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder. So he was saying that he likes his day to be not overscheduled. He wants to be relaxed so that he can have the space and time to think. But if you see the kind of things Amazon is doing, how much scale, how much rate at which they are acting, of course, the Parasya Shakti, all the different Shaktis, potencies, employees are abused, is what we hear. Just like, Krishna says here, you see this. Madbhayad vativato suryas tapati madbhayat varshatindra dahatyagnir mrityuscharati madbhayat. Krishna says, Kapila Dev actually, Krishna's incarnation, it is because of my supremacy that the wind blows out of fear of me. The sun shines out of fear of me. And the Lord of the clouds, Indra, sends forth showers out of fear of me. Fire burns out of fear of me, and death goes about taking its toll out of fear of me. The next verse also, right? Yes. No. So you see, it sounds that they are abused. The demigods are under duress. They're acting under duress. So, but of course, it means obedience and strict obedience. What is that? The other verse, 552. Is it? Yeah. यच्चक्षुरेश सविता सकलग्रहाणां राजा समस्तसुरमूर्तिरशेष तेजाः यस्याज्ञया भ्रमति संभृतकालचक्रो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. यस्याज्ञया. So on the Lord's order, Sambrita Kalachakra. Kalachakra means the wheel of time. Mounting the wheel of time. That means, of course, he has the wheel, the 7 horse chariots and the single wheel. He mounts the wheel of time exactly according to schedule. He moves. Sun, who's the sun? Raja Samasta Suramurti Rashesha Teja. He is the king of all planets. Huh? He is controlling he is the king of all planets because his planet gives the light to every other planet. So Raja Samasta Suramurtir. He is the king of all the demigods. Of course, Indra is king, but he is also very powerful there. Ashesha Teja, unlimited effulgence, such powerful sun is Yasya Agneya Brahmati. It moves on the complete order of Govinda and is very strictly on schedule. Not even missing by a millisecond. That's why, based on the movements of these orbits, astrologers can calculate 1000 years later when the sun is going to rise. Today is what? 1st of May. 1000 years later, 1st of May, when the sun will rise, exactly the time they can predict. Because why? Yasyagnya Brahmati Sam. They cannot, no prediction can happen if there is no pattern, if there is no law. Like I can predict that if somebody murders someone in Singapore, he will definitely be punished in the jail. I can predict that. It's not a wonderful thing because I know the law. In a crude way, we know the law, so we can predict. So similarly, astrology is nothing like, some magic. It's actually knowing the laws, how they happen. And that knowledge is revealed to us, that astrological influence is revealed to us by the Vedic scriptures. One of the Vedangas, 6 Vedangas is Jyotisha. So, with that we can understand. It is revealed knowledge. So, in this way, unless there is we cannot rely on anything if there is no order. On what I would rely? Like I would say, yesterday her parents went back to India, flight. Now, we say to the other side, okay, they are landing at this time, you pick up. On what are we relying that? We are relying on the plane to be perfectly functional and the pilot to be perfectly sane and capable of taking off, flying and landing the plane. We are taking these things for granted. And of course, we also hope that no natural disaster happens while landing, some earthquake happens and the plane is just like, gone. So all these things have to fall in place and then we can rely on that. And we can confidently say, okay, pick them up in that time. So we are taking many things for granted in the interim. So what to speak of anything else? Even walking, Prabhupada said, if we are not sure that the ground is solid, we will not be able to take another step. Suppose I am walking, recently, some months ago in Malaysia, there was an Indian woman who went there and then went below. What is that called? Pothole? Not pothole. It is called... Oh. The road just, she was just walking and then the road just broke and then she went 8 floors deep. What is that? What is that called? So anyway, the land gave way completely, 8 floors beneath. She fell. Just like that. The road looked completely normal. There was no fault, nothing. I mean, apparently, on the surface. Then she walked and then gone, buried. So, if that is the case, then it's a macabre, macabre situation. We are fearing death every moment. Every step we will not be confident. But we are confidently walking because we rely that there will be order. So on who, there's a company in India, Reliance. But on who are we having this reliance? Like you see, even this live stream, we are doing this live stream. We are relying that the internet connection will be stable, the electricity will be there, there will be no natural. So many things have to be in place for me to do this. And if even one thing is off, then finished, unplugged. So, similarly, all these things that we take for granted are actually on the order of the Lord. Even we are eating, we have no knowledge about how the body is working to digest all these things. Even after MBBS, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, he still does not fully understand the body. Our own body. But it's automatically working. On whose? Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva, the Lord says, I am the digestive fire within everybody. You see, unless the Lord arranges for this, nothing will happen. We cannot digest our food, we cannot get energy from the food. How will it go to our blood and everything? How we will have that energy? We don't know anything how it is working. But it's working. So just like my heart is beating, I am not consciously doing anything to make it beat. Who is then doing it? The Lord has to do it. Otherwise, the engine will be off. Finish. So even when we are sleeping, the heart is beating. So the maintenance is going on. So yasyagnya bhramati sambrita kala chakro govindam adipurusham. That is Govinda. So in order to understand the Lord, okay, we have to understand his potencies to an extent. And that is explained in the Bhagavatam very nicely. Actually, today's verse is very much related. See, today's verse is this, right? 5:18:5. You see, Vishwa Udbhava Sthana Nirodha Karmate Hi Akartur Angikritam Apyapavritah Yuktam Na Chitram Tvai Karya Karane Sarvatmani Vyatirikte Cha Vastutah. Vyatirikte means separated. Okay, you see. Set apart, the original substance. How is it translated here? And yet you are separate from everything. So all these things depend on the Lord, but he does not depend on them. He is separate and he is not responsible for those things as well at the same time. Now this is very nicely explained in the subjects of the Bhagavatam. 2.10.1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutayah Manvantare Nukatha Nirodho Muktirashrayah. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 divisions of statements regarding the following: the creation of the universe, subcreation, planetary systems, protection by the Lord, the creative impetus, the change of Manus, the signs of God, returning home back to Godhead, liberation, and the Samam Bonam. Samam Bonam here is actually Krishna himself. Ashrayaha means the shelter. Samam Bonam. Let's see. Define Samam Bonam. The highest good, especially as the ultimate goal according to which values and priorities are established in an ethical system. Who asked Yahoo to become this default search here? Yahoo. Yeah. So you see, the ultimate goal, according to which values and priorities are established in an ethical system. So every law and every whatever is correct or wrong is based on the ultimate goal, which is Krishna. So that's why the basis of all morality is actually Krishna consciousness. So, and everything else rests on the Supreme Lord, Ashraya. Now, if you take today's verse, Yasya Udbhava, Sthana and Nirodha. Now here in this verse we see Sargo Visargaha. These two are creation and subcreation, can be classified as Udbhava, the birth, the creation. Then Sthanam, Poshanam, Utayaha, Manvantare Shanukatha. Actually, Manvantara involves, there is destruction there is creation, there is also the maintenance and religious principles during the reign of the Manus. So there is actually a mixture of all three there. But Sthanam is the Sthanam, is the maintenance. Poshanam also actually comes under Sthanam in one sense. Because, for example, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name is Vishwambhar. He holds the entire universe. But actually, any incarnation of the Lord can be called Vishwambhar. But you know why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called Vishwambhar? Because maintenance of the universe is going on even without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal involvement. But, like that song, Yadi Gaurana Hoito. So, without Kemone Dharitamde, how people will live in this Kali Yuga without the highest commodity, which is the love of Godhead. So by giving that, he is giving life to the people. Otherwise, materialistic civilization is lifeless. There's so much activity going on, but in the heart, everybody is empty. You're empty. There's actually no life. So he's injecting life into this universe and maintaining this whole universe and the whole multitude of living entities by devotional service. So he's maintaining that. There's actually somewhere in the purport or verse, explanation is there of the name. So sthanam, poshanam. This poshanam means this nurturing. So he's nurturing us by dharma samsthapana. Because this, by its own course, the vyakta and avyakta, the creation and destruction of this bhutva praliyate, the creation and destruction of this material world is automatically happening, and by karma, everyone will get their dues, right? But if the Lord does not repeatedly come, yuge sambhavami yuge dharma samsthapanarthaya, then people will just forget dharma and completely they just remain in the abysmal state of material existence, and they will never rise up from there. So the only way that dharma can be revived is by the Lord, because by nature everything gravitates towards ignorance in this material world, and therefore it takes effort to lift, just like it takes effort to lift anything off the ground, but it does not take any effort to make something fall on the ground. Even a child can just maybe push something and it may fall, but to bring that up requires a lot of energy. Like the new chariots we brought. So to descend it, of course crane is descending it because it has to be done in an orderly fashion, but it can fall easily. If something accident happens, the thing will fall when the crane is lifting it. So it will fall. But out of accident, nothing rises. Nothing rises. Or nothing gets created out of accident. Actually, there's no accident. Even destruction happens on cue, on order. But for us, because we don't understand the full context of everything, we think it is accident. But in the grand scheme of things, there's no accident. But anyway, sthanam, poshanam, utayaha. Let's see the words. Utayaha, the creative impetus. Okay, this is again comes under kind of creation. Poshanam, protection. Protection also comes under maintenance. Sthana. Isha Anukatha, the signs of God. Nirodha, going back home, back to Godhead. Or also destruction. Muktihi, liberation. Ashraya, samam bonam. Now the last word Ashraya means everything else is sheltered by the last item, which is called the Vastu. Today's Niro, what is that? Vyatiriktecha Vastutaha. That Vastu, that the ultimate item is the absolute truth, supreme personality of Godhead. Now, going down, you see this verse 2:10:2. Dashamasya vishuddhyartham navanam iha lakshanam varnayanti mahatmanah shrutenarthena chandasa. You see, the 10th item is mentioned here very nicely. Dashamasya vishuddhi artham navanam iha lakshanam. So artham, the see isolation, vishuddhi, separated from the 9. To isolate the transcendence of the summum bonum, the symptoms of the rest are described sometimes by Vedic evidence, sometimes by direct explanation, and sometimes by summary explanations given by the great sages in this Bhagavatam. So it is explained how these things are explained in the Bhagavatam. So this is how it is mentioned. So to isolate the transcendence of the summum bonum means to make the position of Krishna very clear, because we will not understand. If we just read the Ras Leela, for example, we will completely misunderstand the whole thing. But if we understand that the gopis were actually dancing with the Paramatma of everyone, there is no lack of chastity in that. In fact, that is the epitome of chastity, that to be always remembering Krishna. Right now we are unchaste. We are like a prostitute in this material world, because Pati, who is the real Pati? That verse is there, 2:4:20. See, Sukadeva Goswami says very nicely here, Shriyah patir yajna patih prajapatir dhiyam patir loka patir dhara patih patir gatis chandhaka vrishni satvatam prasidatam me bhagavan satam patih. So how many times the word pati is used? 8 times, I think, or more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 times it is used, the word pati here. Pati means usually husband, right? But also the Lord, the controller. May Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andhaka and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me. So when he is the ultimate husband of everyone, if we consider anyone else as our life partner, that's a lack of chastity, actually. So as much as marriage, for example, is a lawful thing in this material world, and any relationship outside of it is unlawful, that is Krishna's kindness on making something lawful, even though inherently at its root it is unlawful. Krishna has set up rules that, okay, vivaha yajna is a lawful thing in this material world. Okay, that's proper way to do. Dharma viruddha kamosmi. But in the ultimate issue, we are who? Our real identity is what? We're eternal servants of Krishna. We're supposed to cooperate with his enjoyment. We're supposed to be so chaste to him that without a moment of distraction, we have to remember him and serve him and chant his name and be conscious of him. And that's called Krishna consciousness. But just like if the woman, if she thinks of any other man other than the husband, in a mood of desiring him, that is unchaste. But is that what we are not doing with Krishna? We are unchaste actually. So actually, even our so-called lawful relationships in this world, in the ultimate issue from the spiritual platform, it is all unchaste. Only the real chaste people are the gopis, although it looks the opposite. So unless we understand Krishna's position as the all in all, we will not understand the real nature of the love of the gopis or the Ras Leela, because we will see the opposite way. What is actually lawful, we will see it as unlawful. What is unlawful, we will see it as lawful. So that's a distorted view of a contorted view of the reality of the situation. And for this reason, the 9 cantos are there to prime us so that we really understand who is the ashraya of everything. And for this reason, and also the method by which one should look at the deity is from the feet up. Not that we come here and see Krishna directly face. That's actually not the proper way to look at the deity. But to come here, we have to look at the lotus feet first and slowly go above, and finally to the smiling face. That's the proper way to see the deity. So when you take darshan, means darshan, it should be like that. So similarly, the Bhagavatam also, all the cantos are the different parts of the body starting from the feet. And finally, Dashama, what is that? Mukharavindam Dashamah Prabhullam. The smiling face of the Lord is the 10th canto, where we actually understand the full nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all this is necessary to prime us. So there is no difference between his creation Leela and his Ras Leela. But of course, Acharyas have graded different activities of the Lord and even rasas of the Lord with his devotees. But impartially, if we see, everything is the same. Nothing is different from another. So he is the real thing. So if we go back, always don't know how to go back on this one. 2:10:2. So this is important, see. To isolate the transcendence of the samam bonam, the symptoms of the rest are described sometimes by Vedic evidence, sometimes by direct explanation, and sometimes by summary explanations given by the great sages. You see, bhutam matrendriya dhyam janma sarga udahritah brahmano guna vaishamyad visargah paurushah smritah. The elementary creation of 16 items of matter, this is the primary creation of the ingredients of the rest of the creation. Namely the 5 elements, fire, water, earth, air and sky. Then sound, form, taste, smell and touch. These are the sense objects. And the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin and mind is known as sarga. So first these things are created. Now you may think actually it doesn't make sense, because how can the tongue, skin, mind, nose, unless it is, because each species, they have different kinds of senses, right? So unless you first come out with the species first, and then only you can create what kind of nose or what kind of tongue. But actually, it's interesting to see here that the primary creation was the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin and mind. And then the species came later on. Is known as sarga, whereas subsequent resultant interaction of the modes of material nature is called visarga. And in this visarga is where all the prajapatis, the entire, the subcreation and all the living entities, species are created in the subcreation. Whereas the original creation, just these things. So how can tongue come out without any species? So these are the principles and the presiding deities of these elements. These are the tongue is a principle, the eyes are principle. How they will be embedded into these different bodies, that's a different thing. Like, for example, do the trees have eyes? What do you think? Do trees have eyes? Have eyes? Only coconut. Trees, all trees? They don't have eyes. But you see, they can. So Prabhupada explained that if the tree is growing and if something is blocking the tree, it will go around it without touching it. It will go around it. How does the tree know? The tree knows. So the tree can see. But again, we think that eyes should be if eyes are there, that means they must be like what we have. But it's not the case. They can be differently manifested. For example, we have a heart. Do the trees have heart? Because Krishna says, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati. Sarvabhutanam. Even of the trees, he stays in the heart. Where is the heart of the tree? They have. But the thing is, it's not like what we have. So where exactly, how? We may not be able to locate like, okay, here is the heart. I'm assuming somewhere at the root or something, maybe. Because if the branches are cut, still the tree can live. That means definitely the heart is not there. But if the root is taken out, finish. So somewhere it must be there, maybe. But you see, like we have blood pumping by the heart. They have nutrients being carried up by the xylem of the tree. Right? So that system, that whole pumping system, that everything is going everywhere, there is some system there. And if that is gone, then finish. So these principles are always there. The mind, does the tree have a mind? Of course it does. But because it is so much in ignorance, it can bear unbearable pain. For us, it will be unbearable. But because the tree is very dull in its mind and intelligence, it can withstand pain. That is actually explained in the 3rd canto, 31st chapter, in the description of the baby within the womb, the child within the womb. It is there described that because the intelligence is not developed in the beginning stages of development, the child can endure unbearable pains, although it is actually otherwise not bearable. So Krishna gives the Shakti to bear such pain. So if we are very sensitive, we cannot. For example, you see, the stomach has acid, a very strong acid. And especially the carnivores, even more so. Vrikodaraha. What does Vrikodara means? Voracious eater, Bhima. Bhima actually, no, Bhima is called Vrikodara. But what is the meaning of the word Vrikodara? No, even that is not the. Voracious eater is a secondary meaning, is a Lakshana Vritti. But the actual Abhidha Vritti, the actual definition of the literal definition is Vrika means wolf, Udara means belly. The wolf's belly, Vrikodara means. Why is Bhima called wolf belly? Because the wolves, especially the wolf and even the tiger and lion, but the wolf, because wolves stay even in the cold regions, even tiger also does that. Their digestive juices are so powerful that they can digest raw meat. Even humans, they cook meat. Even the meat eaters, they cook the meat. They can eat raw meat of even of the buffalo, of any animal you put, it will digest. We cannot. That's why we cook. That fire, we need additional fire other than the fire of the stomach. We need additional fire to first soften it too. But their fire is so strong that they can cook everything inside. That's powerful, that kind of acid we have. The animals also have. But why don't they feel if the acid, like we get sometimes acid reflux, right? The thing comes out here and it's burning in our throat, right? When the acid comes up, you have experience, it's burning. But actually, that's exactly how it is in the stomach. But why don't we feel? The nerve endings are not there. This is how Krishna engineered it. That we don't feel that pain, but when it comes here we have nerve endings and we feel how horribly burning it is. That is what to speak of the wolf. They have to stay in the cold regions, in the absolute ice, tundra regions, and they have to eat and have to sustain and they have to, if we go to the cold regions, it will be sometimes difficult to digest the food that we eat. So, Vrikodara, one whose digestive juices are so powerful that he can eat a lot and he can digest everything what he has eaten. He is called Vrikodara. Not he can eat and become big belly, not like this. He should also be able to digest it and be strong. So, so anyway, all these principles are first created, and then based on those principles and according to the interaction with the modes, these different shapes and forms and sensitivities of different animals and creation, everything is made. But the original thing is, the principle of everything is with the Lord. So you see, in the purport also, in order to explain the 10 divisional symptoms of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 7 continuous verses. Actually, these 7 verses actually go in detail explaining the first verse. 2.10.1 is explained in the subsequent verses. The first under this reference pertains to the 16 elementary manifestations of earth, water, etc. So, and then the secondary creation, like that it goes. Now we'll just go to the next verse. Sthitir Vaikuntha Vijayah Poshanam Tad Anugraha Manmantarani Saddharma Utayah Karmavasanaha. The right situation for the living entities is to obey the laws of the Lord and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Manus and their laws are meant to give a right direction in life. The impetus for activity is the desire for fruitive work. These are all comes under maintenance. The way the material world goes on is because of these dharmas. And one interesting thing in one lecture or conversation, no, this is from a transcendental diary, that thing of Prabhupada, some memoirs of Prabhupada by Harishauri Prabhu. So there, there was one gentleman in Kurukshetra who brought Prabhupada to a place, his land, not his land, his society's land, trying to do some welfare work. They say Manav Dharma. And Prabhupada just saw and everything. But later on when he came back to his devotees, then he was saying, actually this gentleman does not understand what Manav Dharma is. Because usually Manav Dharma means, serve humanity. But Prabhupada gave a different definition of Manav Dharma. Manav Dharma means the dharma established by Manu, who is one of the 12 Mahajans, Kumara, Kapila, Manu. So the Mahajan's dharma means actually the Bhagavad Dharma. So Manav Dharma means the dharma of Manu, which is actually devotional service, which is to be executed by all Manav. By Manu, by Manav, it has to be executed. So it's a very nice definition Prabhupada gave of Manav Dharma. So here also, Manvantare Shanukatha, Manu, the Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction in life. In fact, there is no need of constitution and amendments and bills and laws. Manusmriti is actually the Dharma Shastra for conducting human civilization. And in the Tattva Sandarbha, there is an interesting demarcation between the Puranas and the Smriti Shastras, like Dharma Shastras, Artha Shastras. Dharma Shastras and Artha Shastras are subordinate to the Puranas and Itihasas, because the Itihasas and Puranas are written by Vyasadeva. And these like Manusmriti and all these Dharma Artha Shastras, they are written by other sages, and it is very nicely explained in the 16th, 15th and 16th Anucheda of Tattva Sandarbha, that all, especially in 16th, it is said that whatever other sages have gleaned or have idea or philosophized, they are only taking a page from the book of Vyasadeva. They are all subsets of already the knowledge known to Vyasa. In fact, in the 15th Anucheda, it is said that Vyasadeva knows what even Brahma does not know. That is Vyasadeva. So, every other sage's knowledge is a subset of Vyasadeva's. So, because Vyasadeva wrote the Puranas and Itihasas, it is even higher. Although Smriti Shastra, it is higher than, and it is equivalent to Vedas on the same level as the Vedas. There is no difference. It is not that Puranas are lower than the Vedas. In fact, it is said in one shloka, in the Tattva Sandarbha, it is quoted, that the Puranas are more than the Vedas. More than the Vedas. Vedartham adhikam manye Puranartham varanane. I think it is spoken by Lord Shiva. So the Manus and their laws. So these laws help maintain civilization in this material world. The impetus for activity is the desire for fruitive work. Oh, these hiccups. So there is sthana, and let's go to the next verse. Avataranucharitam hareshchasya hareshchasyanuvartinam pumsam ishakathaah prokta nanakhyanopabramhitaah. The Science of God describes the incarnations of the personality of Godhead and his different activities together with the activities of his great devotees. So this is Upabramhitaah described, Akhyana narrations. Avatara Anucharitam Haresh Chasyanuvartinam. See, Hareh and Anuvartinam, the devotees. So there is one of the topics of Bhagavatam, and then it goes on. You see, Nirodha. Nirodhosyanushayanam Atmanah Sahashaktibhi Muktir Hitvanyatha Rupam Swarupena Vyavasthitihi. The Prabhupada always quote this Mukti definition. But before that, Nirodha. Sorry, irritating this hiccups. Nirodha, the winding of the cosmic manifestation. The merging of the living entity along with his conditional living tendency with the mystic lying down of the Mahavishnu is called the winding up of the cosmic manifestation. Liberation is the permanent situation of the form of the living entity after he gives up the changeable, gross and subtle material bodies. And in fact, this Nirodha, there is a subcategory of this Nirodha. In 2 verses in the 12th canto, this is mentioned. Okay, so this is one description of Nirodha. But there's another one. There's another one about Nirodham, annihilation. In another place in the 12th canto. The four types of annihilation. Huh? 12, 17? What? 12, 7, 17. Oh, this is so irritating. The hiccups are just. Yeah. नैमित्तिकः प्राकृतिको नित्य आत्यन्तिको लयः संस्थेति कविभिः प्रोक्तश्चतुर्धास्य स्वभावतः. There are four types of cosmic annihilation: occasional, elemental, continuous, and ultimate, all of which are affected by the inherent potency of the Supreme Lord. Learned scholars have designated this topic dissolution. So when we speak of Nirodha, these four types of Nirodhas are described in the Bhagavatam. Occasional, elemental, continuous. Continuous is like, every moment there are so many people dying. And there is also destruction of, even our body is actually being destroyed every moment. Death is the final, moment. So in this way, there is actually a constant kala loka kshayakrit pravriddha. Kalosmi. Time I am destroyer of the worlds. Loka kshayakrit. So by the influence of time, everything is being destroyed. हेतुर जीवोस्य सर्गादेर अविद्या कर्मकारकः यम चानुशायिनं प्राहुर अव्याकृतमुतापरे. You see, after this 12, 7, 18, you see, out of ignorance, the living being performs material activities and thereby becomes, in one sense, the cause of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe. Some authorities call the living being the personality underlying the material creation, while others say he is the unmanifest self. So, sometimes Mayavadis, they conflate this. Here it is said that the jiva is the cause for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe. It is an indirect fact. The Mayavadis say, you see, the jiva is the cause of creation, maintenance, and therefore he is equal to the Supreme Lord. But here it is mentioned that he is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation because of his stupid desire, which is being fulfilled by the Lord, by his actual creation. The Lord is creating it, but unwillingly. Right? He is creating this world unwillingly. नैतद्बताधीश पदं तवेप्सितं यन्माययानस्तनुषे भूतसूक्ष्मम् अनुग्रहायास्त्वपि अर्हि मायया लसत्तुलस्या भगवान् विलक्षितः. My dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of gross and subtle elements just for our sensual satisfaction. Let your causeless mercy be upon us, for you have appeared before us in your eternal form, adorned with a splendid wreath of tulsi leaves. What is the other verse you said that day? The Lord unwillingly creates. 12:7 what? 12. The secondary creation. Actually, you see, in this part of the 12th canto, again the 10 aspects of the Bhagavatam are discussed, summarized, and also defined here. So in this particular verse, the secondary creation, and before this, the first creation. Wasting my time. Here, actually, there are some other aspects of this creation, like you see here, that are not mentioned in the second canto, but they are mentioned in the 12th canto here. The secondary creation which exists by the mercy of the Lord is the manifest amalgamation of the desires of the living entities. This is important and is quoted in the Tattva Sandarbha as well. Just as a seed produces additional seeds, activities that promote material desires in the performer produce moving and non-moving life forms. So it is because of karma vasana that the continuation of material existence happens. But it can be misinterpreted to say that the jiva is the cause of the continuance or the maintenance of the material world. And we have to understand that the jiva is the kind of the original cause in a way, because the father wouldn't buy a chocolate for the son unless he threw a tantrum. So the tantrum of the child may be termed as the cause of his having the chocolate. Hey, don't talk. Don't do all this nonsense in this class, okay? I don't want to see that. If you want to do that, go elsewhere. I hate seeing that. Inattention. So the tantrum of the child may be the seeming primary cause, but unless the Lord provides for the child cannot have his chocolate. So this material world was created out of the tantrums of the living entities. And in that way, he is the cause of this material world. He can never be equated with the Lord. Oh, he is the cause of this material world. The jiva is as good as the Lord. He is the cause. Soham. Tantrum, it's a tantrum that was the cause of this material world. And unwillingly the Lord created. And therefore, that's the other reason why he is called Akartuhu, because he does not directly want to create this material world. He's not interested in this creation because he does not like what the living entities are coming here for. So he does not even want to be personally associated with the creation at all. He puts his in charge of the material, the Maya, and she takes care of it. He doesn't even want to personally, if he at all wants to personally involve in the creation, it is only when Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. And to make himself have a little interest in this material world, he sends his devotees here first. Like for example, Prahlad Maharaj was injected into this material world, and for that reason Narasimhadev came. And today we pray to Narasimhadev, what is that, 7/9/24? Right? 7/9, yeah. Today we... no, not this. What is that? That the Lord is 7/9/14? No. 7/9/14, right? Yes. Lokascha nirvritimita pratiyanti sarve rupam narsimha vibhayaya janaha smaranti. See, janaha smaranti? Tadyachhamanyumasurascha hatastvayadhyam modeta sadhurapi vrishchika sarpahatya. Lokascha nirvritimita pratiyanti sarve rupam narsimha vibhayaya janaha smaranti. Vibhayaya. Bhayaya means fear. Vibhayaya means fearlessness. Janaha smaranti. For fearlessness, people, janaha, the population of the future, will remember this Rupam Narasimha. Smaranti. So, the Lord comes to establish such fearlessness and the religious principles by sometimes putting devotees here so that he can be interested to come here for the devotee. Otherwise, he has no interest. In fact, he gets angry, He gets angry with us, honestly. Although the Lord is so tolerant, don't run here and there. Huh? And just as by executing various pious activities one achieves different positions in heavenly life, by acting impiously, not this, not sorry, 525.3. Okay. You see here, at the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadev desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Then from between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra carrying a trident. Let's pause for a second. He becomes slightly angry. And with that slight anger, what happens? Universe is destroyed. Slight anger only. That's why when Narasimha came, his anger was not like the slight anger of Anantadev. It was full-fledged anger. That's why Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma could not dare to stand before him. But Prahlad did not have any fear. He said, I'm not afraid of you or all these fearful features. 7:9:15. But he said, I'm afraid of your Maya. I'm very afraid of your Maya. So he becomes slightly angry. Then from between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra carrying a trident. This Rudra, who is known as Sankarshan. Sankarshan is, so the son of Sankarshan is called Sankarshan, is the embodiment of the 11 Rudras or the incarnations of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. So this is called Nirodha. And let's go to this part, 5:25:6. You see here, the Lord explains even more. Prabhupada explains even more about this aspect of anger of the Lord. Yes. You see, Lord Sankarshan is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is known as Anantadev. He is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the welfare of all living entities within this material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. So this is how the Lord is maintaining this creation. He is restraining his intolerance and anger. So any peace that we have, any stability that we may enjoy is because of the restraint of the Lord's anger. Like, sometimes father buys whatever chocolate. Actually, he's angry with the child. He's restraining his anger. I don't want a big scene. Okay, you know what? I'll just give you this. And if he does through 2-3 times, 5 times, he'll get slapped and nicely punished. But the Lord is so kind that we have done this trillions of times. He's still kind. He's still giving us more chance, and he's waiting. Oh, maybe he will come back. And you see, purport, Anantadev's main mission is to dissolve the material. He is not to maintain. His main mission is to dissolve. Destruction is his main. Because honestly, the Lord wants that there is no material world. Everybody comes back to me and enjoys with me. That's what the Lord wants. Of course, in another place it is said the material world is also for his enjoyment, because he displays his pastimes of anger. So he gets his release. Sometimes, punching bag, when you have anger, if there is a punching bag, beat it until your anger is released. And now I'm. So you beat the hell out of the punching bag. So sometimes the Lord wants to display his anger, so he cannot do that in Vaikuntha. He does only in the material world. But you see, Anantadev's main mission is to dissolve. But he checks his anger and intolerance. This material world is created to give the conditioned souls another chance to go back home, back to Godhead. But most of them do not take advantage of this facility. After the creation, they again exercise their old propensity for lording it over the material world. These activities of the conditioned souls anger Anantadev, and he desires to destroy the entire material world. Yet, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is kind toward us and checks his anger and intolerance. Only at certain times does he express his anger and destroy the material world. So, of all the 4 destructions that happen, occasional, continuous, elemental, and final, all are expressions of his anger. They are called Raudra principle, Rudra principle. So the volcano, the eruption of the volcano, that is anger of the Lord. So there are all these things, natural disasters and everything. These are all earthquakes, destruction, anger of the Lord. Um, the lion, I mean, is a symbol of anger. Actually, the lion is just innocent. You know, the lion is very innocent. He just wants food. He's hungry. That's all. You look at the lion's face when he's hunting. You go and watch a video of lion's face when he's hunting. It is not. He's not like and all this. He keeps a very deadpan face. You observe when he's hunting these animals. He keeps a deadpan face. Absolute deadpan. No expression. When he puts all this fearful expression, when he's in fear, when there's another lion attacking him, or when he expresses anger towards another lion or hyenas, that's when he puts that fearful face. When he's hunting, his face is just deadpan. Whether he or she, I mean the lioness or the lion. So, Narasimhadev's face was actually full of anger. Full of anger. And that is because he's angry at Hiranyakashipu because his devotee was abused, harassed. So only at certain times does he express his anger and destroy the material world. So when he becomes angry, Sankarshan, fire emanates from the mouth of Sankarshan. And that fire destroys the entire creation to ashes. What? What about it?
It is
About what?
We have thousands of books, and each of that contains a grain of mustard.
So this is, the Lord is holding the planets and the universes on his head. It's not related to the topic here. We're talking about the anger of the Lord, Nirodha. So it is his anger, it is his mercy that the world is created, it is his anger that the world is destroyed, and it is his kindness also the world is maintained. But all of it, the thing that underpins everything, all this grand arrangement, is the compassion of the Lord, the mercy of the Lord. Because only for us is he doing this very, very grand arrangement, not for any other reason. Even the punishment that we face is actually the Lord's mercy. Because we did something wrong. That day when we went to that, some devotees were there, that lady was asking that why do, that Pahalgam massacre happened. And so she was asking, why do such things happen? If God is, why do those things happen on God's watch? And if God is watching, then why does he allow the things to happen? Is he ultimately good? If he is good, then he should not have allowed that to happen. That means either he's not there, he's not watching, or your so-called God is like, a cruel being. But none of those actually. We cannot attribute any of these things to the Lord. Nadatte kasyachit papam nakaryam sukritah viduhu. None of these actually can be attributed to the Lord. Because we think it is injustice. And according to our duties, yes, these things should not be there. Government should take care that these things should not happen. But when things happen still, it is not the government's desire that that should happen. But it happened. Some rascals did the heinous act. But at the same time, while they are going to suffer their thing, the people who died also had some karma to pay for. Some past karma somewhere. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened to them. Why them? And other people also were there, but they did not get it. And only some people were shot. We're not condoning any of that violence, but to impartially look at it, yes, we as human beings have certain duties in Vedas that, these things should not happen. If somebody does it, he has to be punished severely. All these things are there. But then why do these things still happen? There is some element of karma involved. And so in the ultimate issue, there is never injustice. The Lord is not so cruel that He will give something to some punishment to somebody who did not deserve it. In fact, He does that only for who, For the devotees. Pandavas, they went through hell, but it's not their karma. But the thing is, they never felt hell. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. What is that? Yasmin sthita na dukkhena guruna pi vichalyate. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena. They never felt any dukkha. For us, when we look at their situation, it's very, very, very full of dukkha. In fact, Bhishmadev said, Aho kashtam, aho anyayam. What is this? Wait, it's stuck. First of all, what happened to the screen here? Wait, something is... See, it is not responding properly. See, something is a problem there. Because I pressed, you know what, I should just kill this app now and start it again. Let me connect it back. Okay. What was the verse I was supposed to mention? Yeah. Aho kashtam, aho anyayam, yadyuyam dharmanandanaha. Jivitum na arhatha klishtam vipra dharmachyutashraya. Bhishmadev, Mahajan is saying, oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustices you good souls had to suffer for being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations, yet you were protected by the Brahmanas, God and religion. Only the devotees go through seeming difficulties which are not attributed to their karma. Although people say that, oh, God put me in this trouble. We put ourselves in the trouble. But God puts His devotee in this so-called trouble. Only devotees will get this by the Lord. You think that devotees will have no problem. Actually, devotees have no problem. This is the paradox of how a devotee is. That's why Bhagavatam is full of these descriptions where devotees are so-called harassed. Prahlad Maharaj never felt harassed. He never felt anything. As an outside onlooker, or even not onlooker, even hearing about it, we feel, oh, this is horrible how a 5-year-old boy can undergo all these things. But Prahlad Maharaj did not have that feeling. What is that? Vishwam Purana Sukhayate. Vishwam Purana Sukhayate. So, 2 verses are there in Bhagavatam of this same wording. Deham chanashwaram avasthitam utthitam va siddho na pashyati yatodhyagamat swarupam daivadapetam atha daivavashadupetam vaso yatha parikritam madiramadantha. Just as a drunken man does not notice if he is wearing his coat or shirt, similarly, one who is perfect in self-realization and who has thus achieved his eternal identity does not notice whether the temporary body is sitting or standing. Indeed, if by God's will the body is finished, or if by God's will he obtains a new body, a self-realized soul does not notice, just as a drunken man does not notice the situation of his outward dress. Kunti Devi therefore is saying, Vipada santata shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatsyad apunar bhava darshanam. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. The reason why she asked for calamities is because the Lord would come to paritranaya sadhunam. So he will, when the sadhus are in some trouble, then he will come and protect. Otherwise, he may stay away. So for seeing the Lord, so that the Lord may take compassion and come to them, she is asking for trouble. Because for herself, she never felt any trouble. Although, yes, outwardly, yes, but inwardly, they were not really troubled. Because even in their so-called despair or whatever, anger, they were always Krishna conscious. That kept them alive all throughout. Yeah? So of course we can go on and on. I should. Okay. What is that? 2:10. 6 is it? Oh, come on. 2:10. Yeah, 6 is finished. 7. Okay. आभासश्च निरोधश्च यतोस्ति अध्यवसीयते स आश्रयः परं ब्रह्म परमात्मेति शब्द्यते. The final 10th object is described here. The Supreme One, who is celebrated as the Supreme Being or the Supreme Self, is the supreme source of the cosmic manifestation as well as its reservoir and winding up. Thus, he is the supreme fountainhead, the absolute truth. So this is Sarvakarana Karanam. He is the ultimate remote cause of everything, although the immediate causes may appear to be something else. He is the ashraya of everything. And yet at the same time, he is not responsible for any of our sufferings or enjoyments. None of them. The Lord only personally interferes or intervenes in the case of devotees. Otherwise, he has his system set up. Maya takes care of everything. Srishti sthiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka chaiva yasya bhuvanani bibharti durga. So she is also ichhanarupam api yasya cheshtate. Sa ichhanarupam. So according to the order of the Lord Govinda, she conducts herself, doing all these grand things. So the Lord is aloof from this material creation because honestly, he does not like it. He gets repeatedly angry and destroys it. So okay, I think I'll stop here. Any questions or comments? Any add? Yeah. One second. That is it. That is what is called sinkhole. That's the word I was looking for. I know. Sinkhole.
Talk about how why Krishna created material world. So 150, verse 15. I think I learned about 2 verses. When you put in 23 to 8.
Oh, this. No, this is a different verse. Okay. Huh? Why he created the material world?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is a place for us to be reformed.
So 11, 24, 15. I saw 9, 24, 15.
स्थिति उत्पत्ति अप्ययाय अनुग्रहस्तन निर्वृत्तेर आत्मलाभाय चेष्यते. The Supreme Personality of Godhead acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, just to deliver the living entity by his compassion and stop the living entity's birth, death, and duration of materialistic life. Thus, he enables the living entity to return home back to Godhead. So that's the whole program of this material world. Just like every trade fair that comes up, any bazaar that comes up for temporary bazaar, there's a reason. The reason is, to make money out of it. The organizers will make money, and they make others make money, the sellers and the shoppers, they will have a good time spending their money. So this trade fair or this fair of the material world is just like a fair. It's created just like, Deepavali fair, we will have the tent is set up and everything. Oh, so much activity goes on, and after that, everything is finished, winds up. So similarly, this material world is like a fair, but the purpose here is to liberate us from this tendency of enjoying separately from the Lord. That's the real thing. But it's a very painful way of doing it. Very painful way. And that's why the Lord does not like to see his sons and daughters suffer here. So that's why he does not personally want to have anything to do with this world. It's a painful, thankless task. But Durga Devi, because she is Vaishnavi, she cannot tolerate the offenses that we commit against the Lord, so she will punish. She will punish. Even if we are trying to go to the Lord, if we have material desires, she detects. You rascal, you think you are a devotee, I'll give you something, you come back. You are not qualified to go to the Lord. You are going there only to disturb. Come back here. That's why she drags us. When we're trying to go to becoming a devotee, you and your cheating devotion, come back. She wants us to become only when we are fully devotee. Then she will allow us to go back to him. So she trains us in a negative way. She does not preach to us, become devotee. She says, you cannot become devotee. You try your best, you cannot become. She will preach like that. Reverse psychology she does. She preaches like that. Vaishnavi Devi. So, even when we are trying to become devotee, take out. Throw us out from there. So then she will see whether he is actually serious or not. See, this guy is not serious. Came out. Stay here. You are not going to go there. My Lord is not going to be disturbed by your rascaldom. You stay here. That is Durga Devi.
That is the case when we respond, like there are many people over there
Who will
respond like this. Online. So I don't want to mention the organization, like they're doing all the nonsense stuff over there. And then still the things are going for them. Why is the reason?
What is going for them?
I'll just show you a video. They're doing some dance for all the Bhangra things, for all the nonsense stuff. And then there's so-called gurus, and then there are the most prominent guys over there.
Question?
So, like, why is that happening? If that is the case, they also should have come out, right?
Come out of what?
So you're saying like we cannot stay in this devotional thing. Like, we are doing all the nonsense stuff, and then out of Maya we'll be kicking it out.
Yeah.
But all the so-called gurus over there are doing all the nonsense, and then there's dancing for some Bollywood songs. All these things.
Okay, so you are saying that they are doing all that. How come they are still inside? They are not inside. When you do that, I can be living in the temple. When my mind goes other than Krishna's service, I am out already. In that moment, I am out. Physically, I may be so-called here, but I am not here. So the moment, it is not like whether they are in the movement, that does not matter. I can be in the movement and completely off. I can be in physical proximity, but mentally I am far away. So we cannot actually reside in the holy dham, which was also the temple, with a materialistic consciousness. And if we are living in the materialistic consciousness within the temple, then it is just a matter of time, then we will just be kicked out, even physically. So Krishna gives some chances to reform. If it does not happen, if they are willfully and completely neglecting the whole thing, and they will go away. And even if they are there, even if they are in the temple, that temple itself will become not a pleasing place for Krishna. It will become a relic of a past glory. It will not, because it will not function as a temple anymore. The structure can still be there, and the person can still be in the temple. But the temple itself is out of Krishna's mission. Like, there are so many temples in India, right? I mean, even here also there are so many temples. Are they doing anything that is actually propagating Dharma? Hardly. Nil. Teaching nil. So that's not even a temple. But people have just this affinity that, okay, they associate a structure to a temple. The structure is never the temple. The bhava is the temple. Prabhupada said, if there is no preaching, it's a dead temple. Prabhupada said, how long you can go around ringing bells and, you cannot. Saying Haribol, Haribol, how long can you say? So we cannot. The fire and the enthusiasm won't be there. It'll be dead. We went that day, Prayagraj, Gaudiya Math. Classic example of a dead temple. Where Prabhupada got initiated that place. That temple, dead. Because no more preaching. Pranache jar shehetu prachar. Those who have life, they can preach. Those who are alive, they can preach. So if they are doing that, then the whole institution is off. No. It's like it resembles this. What is that? I think 19157, 156. That branch. So you see, Adi 12:10. Acharyara mataje shemata sar taragdhan logi chale shaita asar. The order of the spiritual master is the active principle in spiritual life. Anyone who disobeys the order of the spiritual master immediately becomes useless. So the tree of parampara is described here. How disciple of all this from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If a branch is cut off from a tree, snapped off from a tree, immediately it still looks same, like nothing is different from the tree's branches and this dead branch which is already removed from the tree. All the leaves are still green, there also are green, so it all resembles. But over time, you will see the difference. These will remain green, and even maybe more branches will come here, but here will be brown and finished and dead. So now, an institution which has just departed from the instructions of the Guru may still carry the vestiges of an alive institution, but we can see the rot already by the activities, and eventually that rot will be completely manifest when it won't be anymore be able to conduct the mission at all. So that's how it works.
Siddhanta Saraswati also saying that we need a living matter, not master for living.
Very good. Very nicely said. So did you hear that? So apparently Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, we need a living mutt, not a mutt for living. It's not a hotel. It's beautiful. You see how they're phrasing it. So, otherwise it just becomes a, dwelling place for living, that's all. There's no life. Okay, so anything else? Any questions or things to add? Huh? If we don't follow the rules of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha properly, like no karma kanda rituals, etc., but we keep chanting and following 4 principles, can we still attain perfection? Yeah. Because Prabhupada said so. In fact, that's the only thing we should do. We should not do any karma kanda ritual and just chant and follow 4 principles, and not just bare minimum of chanting and 4 principles, because chanting quality won't be there if we don't read, if we don't do service under the guidance and order of the devotees, become humble, develop our character in the association of devotees. When we interact with other devotees, there is like the sandpaper. The polishing of the gem happens there. Many things we won't like, but that's what makes the gem a polished gem eventually. Huh? You do not know? Karma kanda rituals means you do not know. All the rituals for material things, do some yajna for some material things, not devotional service to God. This, if you don't know this, you're not reading. Why you're asking this kind of questions in the class? Don't ask this kind of questions. This is foolish question. Some questions can be foolish. You should read. This you must know. Okay, so here, in that case, why did Lord Shiva say Vyasa may or may not know Bhagavatam in the verse starting with Aham Ved Mishuko Vetti? So this is that verse. In fact, can you bring my Haribol? Can you bring my Tattva Sandarbha book? You know where it is? Shelf, leftmost. The thin book. So the verse that he is saying is this. 24:313. Actually, yesterday I was looking for that verse in the class where it is said that Vyasa knows more than even Brahma. I could not find after so much waste of time there in the class. But after the class, immediately I found. So, aham vedmi shuko vetti vyaso vettina vettiva bhaktya bhagavatam grahyam na buddhya na chatikaya. Lord Shiva said, I may know, Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, may know, and Vyasadeva may know or may not know Srimad Bhagavatam. On the whole, Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Quran, can be learned only through devotional service, not by material intelligence, speculative methods, or imaginary commentaries. Why did Lord Shiva say Vyasa may or may not know Srimad Bhagavatam? One explanation I heard, I did not come across that explanation in this Tattva Sandarbha. Quick. It's on page 53, Anuttached 15. Yes. So this is the verse that is in the... It is actually part of the Anuttached itself. So, Dvaipayanena yad buddham brahmadyais tanna buddhyate sarvam buddham savai veda tad buddham nanya gocharaha. What is understood by Vyasa is not understood by Brahma and others. He knows everything. His understanding cannot be approached by anyone in Padma Purana. Apparently from Padma Purana. We have to find the exact verse of this. But, so here Lord Shiva is saying other way. He may know, may or may not know. So here if you see, Dvaipayanena yad buddham. So apparently Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, this Vyasa is Krishna's incarnation. Other Vyasas are not exactly. See, in the Anuttached 16, there is this verse from Parashar Muni in the Vishnu Puran 3.4.2 to 3.4.5. So he said, Tatrotra matsuto vyasa ashtavimshati me antare vedamekam chatushpadam chaturdha vyabhajat prabhu yathatra tena vai vyasta veda vyasena dhimata vedas tatha samastais tair vyasair anyais tatha maya. See, vyasair anyais. Then tad anenaiva vyasanam shakha bhedan dvijottama chaturyugeshu rachitan samasteshu avadharaya Krishna dvaipayanam vyasam vidhi narayanam prabhum. Krishna dvaipayanam vyasam vidhi narayanam prabhum konyo hi bhuvi maitreyam mahabharata krit bhavet. In the 28th Manvantara, my son Vyasa divided the one Veda of 4 parts into 4 Vedas. Just as the Vedas were compiled by intelligent Vyasa, I have had this done by other Vyasas as well. O best of the Brahmanas, understand that in all cycles of 4 yugas, there are different branches of the Vedas produced by other Vyasas. Know that Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa is Lord Narayana. O Maitreya, who else could produce Mahabharata on earth? So apparently, when Vyasa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana himself, then he will know Bhagavatam completely. When he is other Jivatma, he may not know. But when he says may not know, it's not that he's an absolute fool, Don't think. Because as a devotee will know as much as is necessary or as much as the Lord wants him to know. Prabhupada was asked once this question, do you know everything? Prabhupada said, I know everything that Krishna wants me to know. That much. Pure devotee will never say, I am God. If anybody says he is God, he is a dog. Immediately. So pure devotee does not say. So in that way, Vyasa may or may not know, because he may be a proper, Jivatma. Of course, here also he is Jivatma, Shaktyavesh avatar. But here it is said, Krishna Dvaipayanam Vyasam vidhi Narayanam Prabhum. So when he is Narayana himself, he knows everything. And that's why Brahma also cannot approach what Vyasa's understanding is. And Vyasta Vedataya Khyato Veda Vyasa iti smritaha. The meaning why he's called Vyasa. Vyasta means to divide, to cut and divide. So because he divided one Veda into 4, he's called, and in fact subdivisions, many subdivisions, Upanishads and all these things. So that's why he's called Vedavyas. Actually, it is mentioned in the, again, Skanda Puran, no, Matsya Puran, I think, that originally there is only one Veda, 1 billion verses. It is called Yajur Veda. One Veda, 1 billion verses. All knowledge contained in that. In heavenly regions, this is known as Yajur Veda as one thing. But in this, it is divided and little bit only is given to us human beings. Okay, I'll really stop here. It's going way beyond time limits.
ODIs, they say that,
Yeah.
ODI community, they say that, just like Prabhupada said, I have not written Christianity, so empowered. So similarly, Vyasadeva, because he's empowered by, sometimes we speak, it is not from us. I mean, it was intuition from the Lord. And
Yes.
similarly, he is empowered. So in this case, he may or may not.
But in that case, actually, Shukadeva Goswami also will be like that. Right? But he was a Mahamuni. But Shiva is saying Shukadeva Goswami knows. But how does he know when Vyasa does not know? Of course, Shukadeva Goswami was the Guru Muninam. He was the master of all the sages of the universe. He was a prime spiritual master. But, so he also, I mean, any pure devotee will only know to an extent. Right? Shiva, I mean, if Krishna himself does not know himself, like, what can even Shiva know? Yasyantam na sura vidu sura suragana devaya tasmai namah. Yasyantam na vidu sura suragana. 12:13:1. So, all these explanations are valid explanations actually. Because we can answer either way. But we should never think that Vyasa is a fool, you know. That conclusion should not be there. But either he is inspired by the Lord, like Baladev Vidyabhushan, Govinda Bhashya. So it's like that. Govinda's Bhashya, but through Baladev Vidyabhushan. So in that way. Or when he is the Supreme Personality of God himself, then he is like omniscient and he knows everything. Otherwise, how can you write something Purana? You know, Purana means very far away in the past. You're writing now. How you know the full details of what happened? Complete cognizance across time. So, okay, I think although there are some comments there, I think I cannot hold this too long. I think I'll just stop it here. Okay, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari.